Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Made Podcast. I'm your host, Chloe Trca, and I'm here today with my co-host, Jake Trca. My little brother. I brought him back on. We've had him on quite a bit recently, actually.
We're back
and ready to go. This is kind of a part two to last week's episode where I talked a lot about like relationships, dating, and it was kind of like a Q&A. You guys asked me questions, I gave advice, and I figured it would be really interesting to kind of get a male's perspective, a boy's take on everything you guys are curious about, because y'all were eating up last week's episode. I loved it. Like everyone, I don't know, I feel like I'm in a really good position right now in my life to like talk about dating and relationships, and we talked about it a bit on the Q&A I had you on a couple weeks ago, a little bit about like when they asked, there were some questions about dating, so I figured we would just make an entire episode on like relationships and all of that, so you can get my take, his take, and yeah,
the right take.
The right take. So yeah, I pretty much just asked you guys on Insta. So like I said before, follow me on Chloe Trca, more Chloe Trca, the Self-Made Podcast, the Trca Twins. I have everything linked below, but I always do like polls and questions and stuff like that for the podcast on those to get your guys' like feedback, questions for episodes, just a lot of content honestly on all of those platforms. So follow me along there. But we're just gonna get into the questions. Actually, first off, one of the most common questions I was asked, is Jake single?
Yes, Jake is single.
It's hilarious the amount of like girls who comment on our TikToks, like on Trca Twins, or
the DMs are the funniest.
Yeah, y'all girls are
crazy.
It's so funny. But anyway, yes, Jake is single. But anyway, we're gonna get into the questions. The first question we're gonna get into is how to stop constantly picking things apart about the guys you go on dates with. So this would be like if you go on a date, I feel like this girl feels like she's being too particular, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that's a good thing.
I'd say that is like, a good thing to an extent.
Yeah, I think you have to give people like grace and like time to get to know them and like understand their personality maybe and like their experiences, because that definitely accounts for a lot of like the things that they might do or say. But I don't think it's bad to have like boundaries, expectations and stuff. Maybe
you have to think about it differently, and maybe instead of like going in thinking you have to pick them apart, go in open-mindedly and don't have any expectations. Like obviously have the expectations,
you need to have boundaries,
but like have expectations and standards, but go in open-mindedly and just kind of listen. And that's I think the biggest thing in life, and you can put it into dating, is the first date is listen. Make them just talk about them, and then you will literally know your answers. People they love talking about themselves, so once you get them talking about themselves, you're gonna find your answers, and if it's good, then that's amazing, but if it's bad, then you can't just get stuck on the looks of it. And then
I think it's easy, because like, I mean, when you're dating, like, I don't think you should lower the bar. I don't think you should lower the standards. I think it's okay to sit there and be like, I feel like I'm picking them apart, because I don't think you should necessarily be settling. Like, you're sitting there like valuing, like, is this person right for me? Are they wrong for me? Going on dates is like, in a sense, like an interview process, you know? Like, are they a good fit? Are they like a good candidate? You know what I'm saying? Like,
trial and error.
It is though. It's not like you have to go on a date and expect to like
That's
them.
what they're,
Like, I think people are too sensitive when they're dating, and it's like, oh, you didn't like me, but it's like, not everyone's gonna like you, and you're not gonna like everybody. So I don't think you should force it, and I don't think you should be settling.
Not to I think personally, I haven't experienced many like dates, but from seeing them and like obviously I have been on them, I feel like they're too hardcore. Like your first date, I feel like you should be going in like super open-minded, like not, oh, this is the one, like and so highly set on them. I feel like you should be going in and see if it like honestly like a first date, I don't even think should be out to dinner or like out to do something fancy. I think it should be like a walk at the park. Go do something maybe active or whatever you guys enjoy doing both together. Like, go do an activity that you could go do with your brother, your sister, your parents too, and just kind of talk. And I just feel like in the setting of, oh, like let's go grab coffee for our first date. Now you guys are sitting there face to face the whole entire time, and if the conversation ain't conversationing,
it can be hard.
It's hard. Then it can get awkward, and then I'd say especially for the girl. Okay, sorry.
We're gonna be yelling in the mic a bit.
Especially for the girl.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I think it comes with age. I think the older you get, maturity. Like when you're in your early 20s, I think it's more normal to do more of like a casual date. But when you're like a 30-year-old, I just think it's a man should like take you out to dinner. But
like, no, I don't think for the first time you guys ever meet each other.
That's common though. Like in the dating world, like now that I'm getting older, like when I was on dating apps, unfortunately, like, and I don't do that anymore. So like when I meet people, it's pretty much like any person I feel like I'm gonna date is gonna be through like a mutual friend, you know, like more like natural, organic.
Yeah, see, then
but when it's like set, and I think that's the healthiest, honestly for me, that's been the healthiest way to meet somebody. It's been the most authentic, natural. There's no pressure to it, and then it's like you end up like realizing how much you click, and then it builds from there rather than like forcing it. And I think when you force it, that's when you're sitting there picking it apart. And I just think that's the toxicness of our dating society, dating culture nowadays, is like it is more of the interview process because it is more like forced and it's less like natural. So I think if you feel like you're picking it apart, maybe just like go about the way that you're dating differently. Because that's what I honestly did, because I feel like I was kind of in a similar situation. I didn't feel like I was being too picky though, because I think it is really good to have standards. I do. But I think that's you feeling like that is just you're looking in the wrong environments for the people. Like if you feel like you're too picky, they're just not the right people. And if it keeps continually happening, I think something else needs to change. And my advice to you would be to change the environment that you're meeting the people in.
Oh, 100%. I think you put it right on the tee and nailed it.
Yeah.
I think the most natural way to meet someone is how you said, like in a friend setting.
Yeah.
But then that takes away just what I said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
then you can then go on the first date to a restaurant, but you already know that.
But then it's already more of like
it's like almost
an agreed upon, like that's a real date rather than like a first date being like, do we like each other? You already know you like each other, so it's like, let me take you out. Like if we're more than friends at this point. Yeah, and I do genuinely think like through my experience of like doing kind of both ends, I think the healthiest, most organic, natural way is that way.
That's the easiest way.
It's just I feel like how it's supposed to be almost. I think God would place everyone into your life naturally, and you just have to be like you're gonna click with people you like to hang out with.
But
so
then
I feel
at the same time, not to interrupt you, I think. I mean, I personally don't have any dating apps anymore either.
Yeah.
But I think what they were made to be for was a good thing.
Yeah.
And I just think
we've abused it,
and I think we've done that with so many different things in life too. But I think they were meant to actually be like used rightful, because I mean, just us two, like moving to Arizona and not knowing anybody. That is how you can then go out and meet friends.
You don't have that community.
You go out on a date with like a girl or a guy, and maybe it's not you guys want to date or like anything like that, but you can be friends, and then you can get into that community if they are like-minded people, because I'm sure there are good people out there on them. It's just they get abused so badly,
the percentage of
and like they're used so wrongly that it's just not even really kind of worth your time if you're going.
Yeah, no, I will never download another dating app in my whole life ever. But okay, that's our first question. Okay, we're just gonna jump right into the juicy stuff. Kind of like big question. This one's kind of geared towards you, Jake, but I'll talk on it as well. Oh wait, no, it's not. Oh yeah, it is. It says guy. It says, what is it like being a guy in hookup culture?
I guess like.
Do you feel like everyone just like assumes the worst in guys now because of hookup culture? Because I think girls, we kind of pull a lot of guys into the same, like, that's all they want. Like every girl just assumes like guys just want to hook up and not actually have a real relationship.
Before I get into talking about this, it goes both ways.
Yeah,
like,
I would agree.
Girls are just as bad, if not.
That's
like
what
I think girls are just as bad as guys. It's just so much easier to just always put the blame on the guy, and then it's just kind of this day and age. If a guy puts the blame on the girl, then he is automatically the terrible person.
Yeah.
But I've been there. The girls are just as bad as dudes.
Honestly, guys, like since living with you and like hearing your perspective and like seeing it firsthand, because I've never lived with like a 20-year-old guy before, but like it's opened my perspective. Like, and I'm like a stand for us girls. Like I'm like, but it is like, because I'm not like that. I'm not like that, and so I just assumed everyone was like me. I'm gonna be honest. Like I'm not forward in that sense, but seeing the DMs he gets, seeing how girls act around him, I'm like, they're a little crazy. Us girls, we can be crazy, and I think we do put a lot of blame on it always being the guy, but I do think girls play a factor.
A huge part of it, and
okay, one thing before I forget really quick, I think too, if you feel like you're falling into hookup culture, it's also because you're going after guys who are involved in that. Because I've pulled back since living here, in Arizona, I've pulled back from that environment. None of my friends, nobody I associate myself with really is in that. They're all like Christian people and Christian men, and I will never not date a Christian guy, like ever, because it's like changed my perspective completely on men. But it's like they aren't in that environment, so I don't even have to fear that anymore. Like, it's so comforting and reassuring to like know that that's not where their brain is. Most Christian guys literally wait till marriage. So it's like hookup culture, like they're looking for a wife, they're not looking for like a one night stand.
What I've learned too is hookup culture, that's all just temptation. It's all just such a temptation.
Yeah.
And if you're finding that you're involved with the hookup culture, then you just need to, I would say honestly, like, I'm sorry, but you need to step back and check yourself.
Yeah, I think you need to reflect on
the environment. You really need to check yourself before you do that, because
But I feel victim to it. Like, don't feel like guilty for being it, because I've been in that myself. Yeah. And it took me literally up until this last like month or so to realize
100%.
Realize that. Like, it is all about the environment you're in, the community you're surrounded by, and there is a good community. There is a non-hookup culture community. It's just most of society isn't that, unfortunately. It's a smaller percentage, but it's out there, and you just have to seek it and find it.
And I'm going to tell you, the dudes are just as good looking, the girls are just as pretty.
They're actually, it's better because they're the most genuine, wholesome, real relationships and people and friendships. It blows my mind that I like didn't have that in my life previous. It took me 22 years to find those type of people, but it eases my anxiety, my stress about finding the right person, because I'm like,
you don't have to go, not to interrupt you, but like you don't have to go into like the conversation like if it was me going up and like talking to like a girl, like a girl coming to talk to me, or like you talking to like a guy. It like doesn't even cause anxiety or stress or anything, because you know it's just gonna make a good, natural, like actually like a nice conversation, and it's not gonna be like like you look really good, and like it's like
you can give a compliment without it being like
the flirty. Like at our church that we go to, it was kind of hard for me like right off the bat to kind of see, but every single time like you kind of meet like as dudes like meet girls, it's like a hug when you first meet them. And
at first, I would
like back last year, like like I would never have done that, but it's just so natural and it's so genuine.
Yes, it's
like
it
means nothing. It's just like it's honestly more polite to do, and that's what like a man should do. And that's
the lust aspect of it all is like it's removed in that environment, because it's like it's actually how it's supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to love everyone and like respect everyone, and people can show love in that sense without it being like a romantic, intimate type of love, and it's just genuine, and it really like it is the best environment and community to be in. Like, it's changed my perspective on dating. That's literally why I'm doing the series, because I've had such like a aha realization recently, because I was getting so discouraged. I was getting so like, Jake knows this, I literally was like giving up on dating. Like, I was so consumed in it, and I'm like, these guys are crap. And Jake is like, having him as like my brother, like I obviously like we show each other like who we're talking to, like give our opinion. And every single time you were like, no Chloe, and I'm like, I was getting so frustrated, and I'm like, why can I not find like a wholesome guy that I connect with? We have similarities, and they're not using me, because you were like, Chloe, it's gonna be hard for you to find a guy who isn't using you for your body or your clout. And that like really set me, I'm not gonna lie, into like a spiral, because I'm like, he's right. Like, it was, but I was seeking the wrong community of people.
You were in the wrong.
I was in the community of people to do that. Every guy was one or the other. That's what they were going for. Like, that was those type of people.
And I will tell you, girls, right now, if you're in that community, yes, they all come off. I've been in it. I've done that. Like, I was that person, and it's terrible. I'd never like want to be like that again. But they're all gonna come off so sweet, so genuine. They're gonna give you everything. They're gonna give you the best life. They're gonna tell you everything about how they're such a good person.
They're gonna tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly. They're gonna tell you exactly what you want to hear, and nothing that you don't.
It's a manipulation process.
Yeah, and then it's gonna happen like, oh my gosh, like you're gonna tell your friends like, it's been so good for like the first 3 weeks, and then boom, it's over. And then either the boy or the girl's hurt, and you're like, why is this always happening to me? And until you actually kind of step back and reflect on yourself, then you're like, oh well, I'm putting myself in that exact environment, and that's what's happening to you. So girls, if that's happening to you, and you're like, oh, like it is fun because they are nice and stuff, but let me tell you, you might be able to find your husband or wife on there. I'm not saying you can't,
It's just a
but
small
the
percentage.
the
probably.
percentage of it is
There's a
very
quote,
very small.
and like it's not a quote, it's like a saying, but it's like God will repeatedly put you through the same lesson until you learn from it. So if you keep feeling like you're meeting the same type of guys over and over again, it's because you're not learning your lesson. And that stood out to me because that was happening to me. Every single guy I was dating, it seemed to be like the same thing, and I was like, why does this keep happening to me? Like, why? Like, I think you think it's starting so good. I'm like, this is it, and then 3 weeks later, I'm like, nope, and it's like I was still seeking the men in the same situations, the same environments, the same like type of people. The second I remove myself from that, I've never met greater people in my whole life.
Kind of like backtrack, I just wanted to say too about how you were saying like you showed me like being kind of, if you do have someone that you feel confident in like sharing that stuff with, that's been like the biggest thing for me, and I think maybe for you too. Like, I know every dude she talks to, and she pretty much knows every girl I talk to. Like every girl that DMs me, anybody that like Snapchats me, like I show you, like if they say something like kind of off, like like we always show each other everything.
It's so
helpful. And I think it's been personally for me going through like kind of my whole transition in life. It's been the best thing for me to actually open up because I never ever did. But then opening up to you, and you have the whole, you're on the right track and you're a girl, and it's easier that you're my sister. But it opened up my eyes, and then I feel so much more comfortable. And then like I'm just not even gonna talk to a girl that is just that isn't gonna not even benefit me, because that's just like not the right thing to say, but
like the right fit,
like the right fit
like
for me
anymore. I think it's really important even too in the sense of like when we share like a person to like each other, it's like even having to like speak it out loud and be like, this is the person, this is what they do. It's like hearing yourself speak it, sometimes that's all you need. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I'm like, that's actually really embarrassing. Like I've never heard myself like list, like you'll be like, where's he live, what's he do, like how'd you meet him, and then like saying these things, I'm like, oh wait, that's like embarrassing. And then it's like, okay, that's all I needed. I'm like, okay, that's not the right fit. And so I just think even like having that conversation with people can be like all you need.
Amazing, because now you're not gonna talk to a dude that you've showed me like multiple, not the same guy, but like a dude that you have in the past showed me, like I'm like, okay, wear this and this and this, and you're just like, oh, now you don't even put yourself in that situation to even approach it to me, because you know it's just not going to be good. And then the same goes for me too.
It's like an accountability partner with dating. Like if you can find one, like it's really good.
And it can be like your best friend. Like if you have a great connection with your parents, like anybody. It's just you have to be open about it.
You can't. I think that's the biggest thing with dating is getting like a perspective from somebody else, because too, like when you're in it, it's harder to see like the red flags and stuff, because you kind of filter. It's like you have your blinders on to all the negative stuff because you want to just focus on the good, because you're so excited, especially if it's like the first person you've liked in a while. It's so easy to dismiss all of like the negative parts of it, and I think that's why it is so important to like have someone to pull that out and like point that out, because like from an outsider's view, like they see everything you don't, and like it's one of those things too, you know, when you get out of a relationship and you reflect and you're like, how did I not see that coming, or why did I put myself through that? Like I was just so blind. But like you just have to be aware that like you're gonna be a little blind to stuff. So having someone else to point those out, like trust in them and know it's coming from like their purest and deepest like intentions and heart to like help you. But that's hookup culture, I guess. Circling back to what we said, it's just like if you feel like you're in that, remove yourself from the environment, because as I don't want to like sound blunt and rude, but like it is self-inflicted a little bit, unfortunately, because and I can like testify this just through my experience. Like I have removed myself from the environment, I've put myself in a better environment, and I've like seen the difference and seen the proof. Like it is real, and it is the environment, and I'm like so confident in that. So that's my solution, and I never used to see that up until like a month ago. So learn from me quicker, because I've been through a lot, and I wish I could have avoided a lot of things that I did. But again, I feel like that's like my calling, is to go through stuff and share it with you so you can learn through my mistakes, because I made a lot of them. But yeah, okay. Any other thoughts on hookup culture? Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Next question is, this one, Jake, is for you. This is, what is something girls think guys like that they actually don't? Is there anything that we think we specifically do for guys, or we assume that guys like, and you're like, no, like, don't do that?
I mean, there's so many.
Is there any like off the top of your head?
I don't like. it's just like sad to say, but there is just like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's gonna vary between every different dude.
Yeah.
And every guy's gonna have their own opinions
on
what they like and what they don't like. But what I can say, and it's just such a kind of it's a big question, but like it's gonna be different for everybody.
Yeah.
But I guess when girls, it's like amazing to have all the confidence in the world, like you're the shit, like you're the prettiest, like you're beautiful and all of that. But like at the time, like same time, when all you do is just like kind of, I guess I don't even know how to word it, but like show it, like like posting about it all the time, always kind of like, give me a second, like always very like, you always have to go out looking the best. You always have to go out with your makeup done. You always have to be in your top element to go do anything. Like, it's almost like a blessing in disguise, because it's amazing to always feel good about yourself. Like, always think you are looking good. Like, yes, that is very important, but I'd say to an extent, and it's at the same time, it's what you put yourself in that environment for. Like now, girls that go out and party every single weekend, like that is just like kind of crossed off my list. Girls that
literally every time, if he's like found a new girl and he stalks her and she's partying, he's like, no. Like it's a literal instant no if you're a partier.
Yeah, like,
but then again,
it's like at the same time, like go have like drinks with your friends.
Yeah.
Or like, what do you guys have, like girls wine nights or something like that? That's totally different. That's
it's
like
the partying.
It's what I've learned and from like people from being here, and it's like the biggest thing is your intent behind every single thing you do, and that's what I'm learning right now too. Yeah. And if your intent is to go out and drink, to then get drunk and then go home with a guy, or be in the bar atmosphere, the club atmosphere, like, okay, bye.
I think the part of the partying is like, most of the time people go out and party to like seek a significant other and attention, and like the way that you dress and act, and it's like, if that's how you feel you need to be in order to meet someone, like that's off-putting to you. And that's like, you don't
what
want
it screams to me is you're self-insecure, and you don't actually love yourself or have self-respect for yourself now.
I think that's
like as bad as it sounds,
I think it's a maturing thing.
And it is a maturing thing, and when you're in college, like that's the normal thing to do, but my honest opinion, that's not what I look for anymore, and that's one of like the biggest things for me is when you're out seeking the attention for the wrong reasons. I guess that's like one of my biggest.
Like, it's kind of like there's a saying, and it's the way women dress when they go out, and it's like, if you dress in your skimpy little clothes, your tight stuff, like that's what girls wear to bars typically to get boys' attention. But keyword boys, you're gonna attract boys, and boys who are gonna, that's what they look for. But like, a real man is going to be more attracted to a woman who walks in more modestly and more controlled and more respect for herself. And that's what I've learned is like, how you come off is what you're going to attract. And you're just 100%. To the point where you're attracting more of like a woman and a wife rather than like a girlfriend, you know? And so it's like, keep that in mind when you go out. That's a huge thing I've learned. Like that is like, I've started dressing more modestly. It's one, because of my faith, and two, it's just like my maturity, my level. It's like how I dress is what I'm attracting, and I don't want to attract a little frat boy in my little tight skimpy clothes. But like, a real man isn't gonna, he's gonna know I'm not like mature enough and I don't have enough respect for myself to like cover myself and dress in a decent way, honestly.
And just what I want you guys to do is, next time you go out and like do anything that like going out to party, just ask yourself what is your intentions for going out to party? What is your intentions of getting hammered tonight and then going out to the bars all night? Like, what are you?
Like, you can have a girls' night and go out with your friends. That's
exactly.
Totally,
but truthfully, ask yourself what's your intent with going out to the bars before. And if your intent is to seek attention and get boys, okay, bye. But like, if your intent is to, oh my gosh, like it's my best friend's birthday and we're going out and just having fun with a big group of girls, that's totally different. Go out with your group of girls and have a great time.
Intention is everything, and I really do think
really what it
self-checking is huge, and that's what I've learned to do too. Like, even though I dress in the gym, I say, like, when I get ready, I'm like, what is my intention behind wearing these shorts? And it's changed everything, because it makes you really reflect on like where you're at with yourself too.
100%.
It's eye-opening.
That's just what I've started to learn, and it's just life. Like, what is your intent behind every single thing you do, every single thing you say, and everything?
Yeah, that's huge. Okay, that was a good one. Next question: how to embrace being single? I love this question because the season of singleness is so important and it's so huge, and I think we've put such a negative lens on it. Like, everyone views being single as like you can't find somebody, but I honestly think it's like a beautiful time, because
I honestly just love it.
I think it's a season of like waiting and being patient and working on yourself. And I think when you view it as like an opportunity to literally give everything to you, because when you meet a significant other, you put a lot of your time and attention, and you make sacrifices for this person. And so it's like, this is the one small portion of your life where you don't have to make sacrifices for anyone but yourself, and you can use that to work on yourself and level yourself up, because the more time you take on yourself, the higher quality you'll become and the higher quality of a person you'll attract. So you're only bettering your position being in it. So it's like, the longer you're single, the more hopefully developed you get. But oftentimes, and I've fallen victim to this, in singleness, you just dwell on the fact that you're alone and you're lonely, and you seek out temptations. It's the temptations. You seek out, like, you start to settle and you start to like talk to other people because you're lonely. And it's like, you can't use singleness as a time to like,
as your hookup culture time,
as a time to be crazy and be stupid. It's like, use it as a productive time.
Yeah.
And understand that like, God will place the person in your life at the perfect time, but he's not going to do that until you're ready. And if you're out there talking to like really crappy boys and partying every weekend and not working on yourself, he's not going to deliver you your husband. He's not, because you're not ready for it. And so it's like, once I had that flip, it's crazy, because I've actually met like quality people since. And it's been a really recent thing, and it happened really fast. Like, I used to be, I'll be honest, like, every single girlfriend of mine in my life is engaged, or they're dating a guy that it's like, it's it. Like, it's not like, I wonder if they'll be together in a year. Like, every relationship is there. I have married friends, I have engaged friends, and I have literally people who have been dating for years, or like, it's just really working. And I was jealous at first, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I had this realization that for the longest time I had a little bit of like envy, because I'm like, how come everyone's finding it but not me? And I was like beating myself up, and I had such a negative perspective on it, because I would see all this stuff and I'm like, I was so happy for them, but I was like, why can't I have that? Like, why do I keep meeting all these crappy guys? And literally, it was God, I think, speaking to me, because I've been growing my faith and I've learned to like step back and reflect more. But I was like, God is putting every single one of my friends and their relationships in my life for me to view as like a role model, and to like show me what I do deserve and what's out there. Because I'm like, my girlfriends, boyfriends, and husbands treat them like queens and princesses. I'm like, I've never seen such a thing. And it has like raised the bar for me. And so I started to like be grateful for that aspect, and like love that for myself, that I have that, what's the word? Like, role model is not the right term, I'm just blanking. But like, I have that to look up to and have that in my life. It's raised the bar for me. Like, one of my best girlfriends down here, I'm like, her boyfriend or her fiance, I'm like,
standards almost.
It does. I'm like, every time he does something for you, it adds another level of like standard that I expect. And I'm like, and honestly, deep down though, I was like, I'm never gonna find a guy like that. Like, there's just no way. Like,
but
it's just, I will. Like, I've already met like amazing people, and like, it's crazy, because I'm like, the guys are out there. It's just I was seeking it in the wrong environments, and I had like a negative perspective on it. So it's like, once I flipped the switch and honored being single and like use it to my advantage, rather than feeling sorry for myself and feeling lonely and settling and talking to all these guys, but I knew they weren't really going to go anywhere, but I just wanted someone to talk to validate myself. It's like, no, I was insecure and I was lonely, and I was seeking validation through guys rather than finding it myself and in God. And literally, once I did that, I'm not kidding you, my life changed. Like, once I flipped that switch, and it's hard to do and it takes time, but it will literally, like, you will start to meet the right people. Like, I promise. Like, it's crazy, and I know you're like, Chloe, it might have worked out for you, because that's how I would listen to podcasts on it, and I'm like, oh, worked out for them, but like, is it really gonna happen for me? You know, it will. Like, it really will. But it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience, and you gotta stick with it. But delete the apps, delete the Snapchat, stop talking to the guys who aren't really serving you. Like, you have to cut that stuff out of your life in order to make room for the right kind of stuff, because God isn't going to give you your husband when you're talking to all these boys. Like, sorry, that was a long tangent, but like, I just had to get that out there, because I'm like, it's literally like the biggest realization I've had recently, and it happened so fast, but like, that's how I feel. You got anything else on? That was a lot.
I think you nailed it.
Anything else you have about like being single? You like it?
Yeah, it's like, I just feel like you can either use being single poorly or amazingly. You can
use it or abuse it.
Yeah, and you can use it and grow and become the best person for yourself, or you can use it and just go down a deeper, darker path. And what I will say too is, by listening to like what you say, is even when you are on the right track, you can still mess up.
Yeah.
Like, you will still mess up. The temptations still might come and you might do it, but what you've like told me and like what you like I've learned is that's just like, after you do that temptation though, you're like, oh, like I shouldn't have done that. And that's like the best thing, and that is almost like, you know, you are on the right path, and it just takes time. And that's just what I've learned is like, I'm not telling you to go like, it's okay just to go up and mess up, but like, if you do mess up, it's not the end of the world. And I guess it's only if you know you messed up and you hate that you messed up, and then that's when you're on the right track. But if you mess up and you're like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun, like I don't regret that at all, then you still need to do a little bit more work.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it ties into like, one thing we've been talking about is like, the more we've grown in our faith, the more we feel like a sinner, because it's like, we're so much more self-aware of all of the like sinful acts that we had in our life. And so it's like, we feel like we're worse people, but we're becoming so much better. It's just, we're so much more self-aware, and you realize everything. So you feel worse, but you're actually like the best version of yourself. And it takes time, it takes practice. You can't just all of a sudden become like a completely changed person. It's a process, it's a journey, and like, it's gonna take time, but you have to stay. Consistency is everything in life, and patience is everything in life. And so once you have the self-control, consistency, and patience, and that builds, like, that will carry you through anything. It really will. It's just, you have to learn how to utilize that in all aspects of your life, and dating is a huge one, that you have to have the self-control to be right around the right people, the consistency to stick with it, and the patience to wait for things to happen, because timing is everything. And again, like, it ties back to our faith, but like, I believe in God's timing, like, wholeheartedly. 100%. And it has just been like, the more I've grown up, the more I've grown in my faith. Like, I have so many things that I could like testify behind that. Like, God has proved it time and time again, that like, it will happen at the perfect time.
He's working
when you don't even know
when
it.
you don't even think he is, and when he's putting you through those like hard times of like, you're like, okay, God, what are you doing? But I'm going to tell you later in life, you'll be like, okay, God, that's why you did that for me. Like, oh, it was shitty back then. I felt like the worst person in my life back then, but that's why you did that for me. Okay, thank you.
And
it could take a year, it could take 2 years, it could take 3 years, but like, you just have to believe and know that it will.
Have faith in it.
It will be okay. Like,
it will, for sure. Okay, that was good. That was our take on being single. We're gonna move on to the next question now. The next question, this is a tough one. How do you know if you're ready to date, or you should continue working on yourself?
I just kind of think that this goes straight back to God's timing, and he's gonna put you in that situation when he thinks the time is right. And the time still might not be right, but he can still put you in that situation. And it could be, again, for another learning experience, or maybe you are ready. And
it's a hard thing to gauge, but like, one thing I would advise you to do, I don't know if you're religious or not, but I think praying about things helps. Like, if you're sitting there and it's like, is this sent from God? Is this sent from the enemy? Is this like sent from my just like own temptation and desires? Because it's one of the three, you know. It's like, is this from God or is this not? Pray about it and like really think about it. And I feel like a lot of times we have like the gut instinct, or we have that internal voice and being like, this is right, or this is me being lonely and me seeking it out. But if you feel like you're not where you want to be, also like, trust that. Like, if you feel like you're rushing it, don't rush it. Like, take your time. There's no timeline on dating. Society's put such a standard on like when you should be married, when you should be dating. it's your own time, and like be patient with it because it's like perfectly crafted in God's time. But I just feel like if you're having that confusion, you're probably not as certain, because I just think like the time will come when you'll come across somebody and it's like, okay, this is my person, and then like the time must be right, you know? But if it's like a lot going on and it just doesn't feel like the right time, then I don't think God would send that person into your life. But again, I know it's a very like faith-based answer, but that's just that's how I view dating now, and I just don't know how else to like advise you other than that.
And that's the right answer.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that or no?
Well, yeah, move your finger.
This one.
If you want to, we can hit it.
Okay, I feel like this is a juicy one. People are gonna want to know about it, so we'll talk about it. So this is, what are your views on sex before marriage? This is, you know, my perspective's changed a lot over the course of the last 6 months, even. Gosh, I didn't actually think I was gonna talk about this in the podcast. I have listened to a lot of podcasts on this. I've listened to a lot of like, yeah, I guess they were all podcasts. Like Sadie Robertson was talking about it, and then the Girls Gone Bible. If you guys are Christian girls, or I advise this to anybody, but it completely made sense, and it is why I'm gonna wait myself. And I'm gonna be honest, guys, like I haven't, but you can like redeem yourself. Like there's redemption with Christ, and it's like just because you've already done it doesn't mean you can't go back. And I'm like, once you actually think about it, it's like the way they worded it. This is what really stuck with me in this podcast. It was the Girls Gone Bible, and they were talking about it. But it was like, the reason you're supposed to wait, one, is because that God is protecting you. Everything that's like a sin is for your own good and for your own protection. And when you're doing things like sex before marriage, like there's a literal like soul connection. There's like a soul tie once you do that. So it ties you to a person. So if it doesn't work out, you're going to be so much more hurt in the long run, and you're going to go through so much more heartache and guilt and shame when you do that compared to if you had waited. And the other thing is too, it's like, a man should have to kind of like work to be your wife or your husband, and like you have to work towards marriage. It's like an honor to be married to somebody. And it's like, if you're having sex before marriage, you're living together, you're doing all these things that are like outside of the Bible, it's like you're essentially married without the actual like commitment. So it's like you're giving each other everything outside of marriage. So what's the point of like being married? You know, like there's really not a difference. It's like there's not a way to like earn the marriage, you know? And so it's like that's like the commitment of marriage, and like you're literally becoming one, and you what's the word they use? It's like a very common word for marriage. But it's, I don't know, it's just like when you're dating, like you don't have to like settle, and you don't have to, you can like walk away from a dating relationship when it's not right. But it's like marriage is such an honor and like such a special commitment, and I think we've just kind of like desensitized like the beauty of it. And I think it is because of like society and the sexualization of everything. Like now that I'm more into my faith, it's like I realize how much that plays into everything. Like everything is over sexualized and marketed and sold and stuff, and it's really sad because it's such a precious thing that we like kind of use and abuse. And like think how many like heartbreaks and stuff like you would, as a girl, when you feel like you're getting used for your body, like that's probably one of the worst feelings ever. But it's like if you just didn't do it, you wouldn't feel like that, and you wouldn't like, you could avoid a lot of heartache and pain if you just waited. And yeah, I don't know, it just makes sense like to wait. Like it's like a way to protect your heart and protect yourself, and it makes the marriage so much more real, you know? Like it's like you earn the marriage. Like the marriage is like put on a pedestal, and it's making it like the next level. Like you want that. I don't know, I just think like it negatively impacts the way we view marriage, because when you do that stuff before marriage, it takes, what's the difference? There's just no difference between dating and being married, other than legally you're together because of a license.
A family.
Well, right, but I'm saying like you can't have a family until you wait till marriage if you're a Christian. So it's like that's another part that you're supposed to like, that's the next step. It's, I don't know, I just think it's there's a lot to it, and it's like more of a recent thing I've like come to realize. But it's just like, when you can wait, it just makes it builds like the love too so much more, because it's like you guys have the control and the patience too, that it like can build confidence within the relationship as well, and you know that they love you for who you are other than anything else. Like if they can wait for you, like that's like a big thing. Like not a lot of people can do that, so it like proves a lot about that person as well. But yeah, do you have any thoughts?
I'll speak my 2 cents where I'm at right now. I would personally, like, I would love for that to, I would love to wait for marriage, but I personally, where I am at with my faith and like how strong I am with my faith, right now I can't say I'm gonna 100% wait till marriage, because I feel like it would be a sin for me to say, because I could say it right here on this podcast, like, yeah guys, I'm waiting till marriage, and then one night like it could happen, and then that would be a sin, and then I'm just lying and I don't want to lie. So it is, for me, it's a working thing in progress, and I would love, because I feel like it has to be both ways too. You have to meet that right person to have that connection and that love, that you don't want that, because there are amazing, like I know a lot of people that are in amazing relationships that are having sex, and like they're gonna get married and they love God too, and like it is all gonna work out. But like at the same time, I like 100% like agree. Like I would love to wait till marriage, but like right now, I don't think I can like just openly up and say like I'm waiting till marriage. I would say it's like a working thing in progress, and I would just feel like it would be a sin for me to say
that's like a really real honest
that
answer.
I am gonna wait till marriage. Like, and
the temptation
like,
of being so young, like we're not gonna be married for so long.
Like this is just like an excuse, but like I'm just like a 20-year-old boy that's never been in like a real serious, like I've been in like one, I guess, kind of longer relationship, but it was in like high school through like high school, and that was like my only kind of real relationship. So first I like, it's a working thing in progress, and I just can't openly say I'm gonna wait till marriage yet.
No, and I don't judge people who do and who don't.
Oh,
like it's a you with like, you know, you set your boundaries, set your standards, and then make sure you vocalize that with the person you're with. But another thing too that really stood out to me in those podcasts that I was listening to was that she felt like when you have to like fully give your life to Christ, and she said that she never felt like she was like 90% there, and she didn't know what was lacking, but she knew like the last thing was like finally being like abstinent. And she's like, once she committed to that, it's like when she grew the most in her faith, because she knew she was devoting everything to Christ. Like she was no longer sinning, you know, like that was like the one thing that kind of wedged that relationship. And when she removed it, like she fully gave her life to Christ. And I'm like, as you build your faith, like that really is your goal. And again, it's a journey, it's a process. You can't just expect, like I don't expect people to switch overnight, but like the more you grow with Christ, the more those desires become like natural, and you want that for yourself. So again, I'm not shaming people who do and who don't. Again, I have like in my past, like I'm not gonna lie, but it is something now that like I'm single, I'm not seeing anyone, like that is a boundary that I've like began to set for myself, because that's where I am with my walk with like faith and stuff, and that's how I feel like I can best protect my heart and like create the most healthy relationship for myself and with God, because God's gonna be the center of my relationship. It is. And I think it's funny, like I thank God for that, but like I'm just so happy that's the position I'm in, because I wasn't 2 months ago, and I'm so much more happier. Everyone's like, oh, you're glowing, you seem so happy. I'm like, it's because I found God, I found Jesus. Like that is truly the difference. And it just it affects all those things.
100%. It's
really wild. Okay, is that all you have for that?
Yeah.
Okay. How should girls shoot their shot?
I don't even know anymore.
I'm gonna be honest, like
it's,
I don't shoot my shot.
Yeah, like I just feel like, just what's your intent behind it? Like going back to like the intent thing.
Is it seeking attention and validation, or do you actually like that person?
If it's like, I would just say be genuine.
I think
just be so like genuine about it. Be like, don't make it a big deal. Like just be like genuine and just kind of do it. Like I think there's such like a whole, just huge like
intent behind stuff.
Yeah, and like the whole like, oh, like you gotta rizz them up and all that stuff. Personally, like I've never had the rizz, like
the game. It just makes things more of a game when you
put
it in that lens.
And like I've been in that like atmosphere and all that stuff, and I would still say like, I never did have like the rizz. Like I was never like the one to always in like the bars. I was never the one like going up to all these like girls and all this like stuff and like doing all that, because I still had, when I was out doing all that stuff, my anxiety was still high.
Yeah.
Like I still had a lot of anxiety about it. Like yeah, I knew how to kind of just go past that, and bad to say just keep on drinking.
Yeah.
But like I know mine, like I just couldn't rizz, like that just wasn't it. And I just think you just connect. It's it's a genuine thing, and like kind of like it's how to approach a girl you've never met before, how you approach a guy you've never met before, and it's just be genuine. If it's like at the gym, okay, you see them there 4 or 5 times, okay, and then you can go up like maybe just introduce yourself and like just kind of like that, or if you really want to, you can like kind of like, oh, like you're hitting the same like upper body today, and like, oh, how many more sets do you have? And just kind of like go into like conversation, but just be genuine and polite about it. I think is the best thing to do. Yeah,
I think people kind of like overthink it.
Yeah,
and,
they
like,
think
overdo
it.
Yeah, and they think they need to have these like pickup lines and all this stuff. But I do think my stance on it is like I don't really shoot my shot, because I think since we started going to the church we go to, he really like is really specific on like the roles between like men and women and how men should pursue a woman. And I kind of like that, because every time I feel like I've chased and I've pursued, it's not ever been good for me. It's always backfired, and I've always been left hurt and like feel worse about myself, and it's affected my own confidence. So it's like I'm just very myself, and if like the man and I click, like they're gonna pursue, and if they don't, then it's like not my person. That's kind of my take. Like, but again, like it's, you kind of have to, the way I show that like I'm interested is, I talked about this in my last episode, it's like I start spending more time, like I'll do things for you, I will like talk, like you just build the friendship or the relationship, you build a connection, and then it goes from there. So it's like if you're willing to like prove that to somebody, then that's like me kind of being like, you know. But it's, if you don't know the person in person, it's like that is harder.
Going
like
back
in
to
DMs.
the cold, like that, like the cold reach out.
Yeah.
Or like if it's in like the person, what I've learned from like like the books I've been reading and stuff is a smile goes a long ways.
Like nonverbal communication.
And that's what I've learned just in just like the general like public too. I've like a thing I've been trying to do, because I kind of did when I went through my lonely phases. I kind of blocked out the world, and that's kind of what I had to do in order for me to make that change, is kind of block just everything out. And now a goal of mine is, it still hasn't been a girl I've said anything to at the gym, but it's been all guys. But every single time I go to the gym, give someone a compliment, or just like kind of like say like just like the other day, like I do it at once. I try to do it once a time I'm there, and I haven't been fully always doing it, but like just like, oh, like I like your shoes, and that's what I did with this one kid, and now we're great friends, and that's all it took. And or it's like another person I like, oh, I like your shirt, or you just like walk past, and instead of walking with your head down on your phone, guys, put your phone away, put your head up, and anyone that walks past and like you make the eye contact, just smile, just give them a grin. Doesn't have to be with the teeth, but you don't know how they're doing. And just a smile like that can change someone's day, or it can like, it's like also kind of the sign of like you see like the same like girl at the gym, or you see the same girl or boy at work or wherever you're at. Just start off with just like a walk by, okay, like a smile, okay, you made the kind of connection, like smile, okay.
That's kind of like shooting your shot. If you start making eye contact, smile,
like the smile, and it doesn't always have to be a conversation. Like right off the bat, it can be just walk past and like they see like, oh, just smile, and they smile back. Okay, there's a little bit of connection. Next time, maybe just smile again. If they smile, okay. Next time, go up and introduce yourself, and then just walk. Like it's. I feel like people rush everything so much too, and it just, good things take time. That's why everything that's really good and nice is expensive. Everything that's expensive takes a long time to make a lot of money. But then you can have it. Everything that's good takes time.
I think, that's huge. I like that a lot. I one thing that I've learned that, and it literally resembles exactly what you were just saying, but it's like you have to make yourself approachable. Like, if you want to be approached by a man, like, you have to make yourself approachable, and that's through your body language. Don't have your phone buried in your face, and I'm victim of that. But the thing is, wasn't really in the position to like want to be approached. But if you want to be approached, you have to make yourself approachable.
Just be like,
and one thing, do you remember Taylor's mom, Kim? She told us, she said, when she walks around, she always looks at every single person and she smiles. And then she said if they smile back, she says hi.
Yeah, shout out Kim.
Every person. Yeah, I love her to death. And that was one thing, and I was like, wow, that's amazing, because Kim is the most outgoing. She has so many friends. Everyone adores her. And she said that. She's like, every person I walk by, I look at them. If they look back, she's like, I was just like smiling.
Yeah. And I got it literally from Kim. And then it was in a book I was reading too, just like smile. Yeah,
smile at people.
And if you're ever feeling down, just smile for 15 seconds. As weird as it sounds, it changes somewhat of your mood.
Yeah. Okay, that was really good. This next one is power of walking away from a confused negative vibe. If you're confused and negative about it, you just have to know that's not sent from God. That's what I've learned. Like, if you have any confusion, any anxiety, any stress, like, you should be at peace. You should feel at peace about like a person or like a situation. I felt this like in situations when I was moving here. I had so much peace and calmness about it, and I knew it was right for me. Like, it's sent from God if you're feeling peaceful about it.
What was the question?
The power, they wanted us to talk about like the power of walking away from confused and negative vibes. So if you're talking to a person and you're anxious and it's like, is this the right person? Is this not? Like, I'm confused, I'm anxious. It's not the right person.
You don't think so?
No. I don't think you should be anxious or nervous about it. Okay, anxious, like good anxious, like you're like butterflies, that's different. But if you're like nervous, like, God, I don't know if he likes me, I'm checking my, like, see if he responds, like, am I good enough? Like, it's like the negative
so is that what they
anxiousness.
meant?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, then.
I think butterflies, like when you're around a person, they make you nervous because you like them, that's completely different.
Yeah.
But it's like the deep down gut feeling that you have. If it's not coming with like peace and joy, it's not sent from God and it's not right, and you need to walk away, because I promise you he will deliver somebody who does give you peace and joy, but those negative feelings are there as like a sign to walk away. That's exactly, it's God sent. Like, that is why we have those.
I think I was gonna go completely different, but you, I think, corrected yourself perfectly. And I would just say, like, the butterflies, that's like excitement. There's a very big difference between butterflies and real anxious and nervous and stuff. And I think everyone has felt both of them in their life, and everyone should know that. But at the same time, like, yeah, I don't think you should ever be anxious, but then at the same time, I will kind of contradict a little bit about what you said of, if you get anxious just like one time, be open about it. And if you are kind of in that talking stage, or you really do like that person, don't just walk away. No. Like, don't just close yourself off and walk away. I think you should, it takes a big person to do in a lot of it.
Anxiousness is like coming as like a sign to communicate more. And
to, like,
you always,
you don't know about people's like past and stuff too, about like, like you've been cheating on, okay, now the girl or like the dude is gonna be way more, okay, who you talking, like all of that and that. But you have to be open about that.
Okay, sorry guys, we're back. I ran out of storage on my camera.
But I think back into that is you have to be, if you do feel anxious right away, but you really do like that person, you should be very open and blunt about it, and go directly to that person and state exactly what you're feeling anxious about. And then if they correct themselves and then you're not anxious about it anymore, then the problem's solved. But then if they keep doing that and you still feel that anxious, that's when I think then you have to address the situation and kind of leave.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I love that. I do think it's important, if you are feeling anxious, to be honest with the person first before walking away. But if you're still feeling anxious after that conversation, then I think you definitely should. What do I do if during a long-term relationship the way I got treated is not as good as before? Communicate that.
Exactly.
I think communication is so powerful, and it's so key, because I mean, it is going to change a bit over time. The love,
like the honeymoon phase is going to get over. It's going to start being normal, and you're going to start getting content. But that's when you both have to come together and start doing different things. If you're not going out and having dates as often, make it a priority or a standard. You designate a day every single week that you go out and do something with them that's different. If it's wherever you're at in the world, is there are fun things to do, but you have to go out and do it with them and find the fun in it. Or if it's you guys are just kind of always just with each other one-on-one, find open, like kind of go out together and then meet like meet others that are in relationships and then start going out and doing things with them. But I could definitely, I guess I've never really kind of been at that stage of my life.
I have, because I was in a 6-year relationship and it does fade a little bit, but I think the power of like having the conversation. If you're in a long-term relationship, you should be comfortable enough with them to have that, and if you aren't, then that's probably not a good sign in my opinion. But again, like it's normal, so don't overthink that. But I think it's important to like relationships are work, so you have to actively keep like the love alive and the spark alive. But there's so many ways to do that, and it's just easy to neglect and forget that. And like a lot of people, I think in marriages and stuff, it's like once that fades, they just resort to like divorce and stuff, and they think like the grass is greener on the other side. But it's like you committed to that person, and you have to work on your marriage always. Like you always have to be working on it because it's a choice. Marriage is a choice, and you're choosing to commit to them. And a relationship, you're choosing to commit to that person, and when you commit, it's work. So it's not all going to be easy. It's not all going to be love. Like relationships are really hard. And that's why it's so important to pick the right person that you want to work on it with, and you want to like, make sacrifices for, and you make compromises for and stuff. But if it feels like it's fading, it's just time to have a conversation about it and see what you can do and like try to like fix it, and like put things forward to re-spark it. Like Jake said, like start going on date night once a week or once a month, or do little things.
Yeah, and if you guys are spending too much time together, which I think is also a big thing too, is then you're gonna have to find, like, I hope that you have kind of other friends too, but I know once you do get into long-term relationships, you lose a lot of your just kind of friends. Like you still have your close friends, but you lose your friends.
Yeah,
and I think you still need to always, no matter what stage of dating or married or anything you're at in life, is still have self-time or time out with your boys, your girls, go out on like your girls date nights or like go hang out with the boys. Like I still think that's such a big role. And then with like relationships that are doing very well, that's what they do. Like Friday nights, like the girl will go hang out with all her girls and the guy will go hang out with all the boys. And then that's even better because then when you come back home, that's like you missed it. Like
it's easy to spend too much time together, and it's not good.
It's
like,
so easy.
I think marriages, like most couples, don't spend 24/7 together. Like they're usually at work. They come together at night and like on the weekends. They like. I think about it like in the sense of like our parents don't really spend that much time together. You know, like they spend less time together than I spent with my boyfriend in high school. Like I was with him all the time, and that's not good. Like you shouldn't be around a person that much because, in my opinion, too, like distance makes a heart grow fonder. It makes you like desire them and want them more.
Just like
when you're a little bit more distant. Like if you can have it at any time, it becomes less desirable.
Oh, 100%. That's I can't remember. We were talking about it, or I listened to something about it, but think about back in the day when phones were. Oh, we were talking about temptations when I was at my Bible study thing. We were talking about temptations. Temptations are just everywhere in our life, and that goes to exactly with a girl. And just I incorporate it just like this is. Back in the old days, you didn't have a phone just to text your girlfriend. You didn't have anything just to always communicate. And when you found that girl, say like it was at, I think the like phrase we used it at is you go like this diner like in the morning and you meet this super like pretty girl and stuff and you talk, but you only get to see her for 1 hour once a week, and then she's like, okay, like let's plan on doing it next Thursday. Now you have to wait all the time till next Thursday just to see her. You can't even communicate with her because phones weren't even a thing back then. And then you're so excited because the temptation, like you can't wait, like you're that excited to do it. And then she comes back the next week, that next Thursday, and you're so excited and like it goes so well, and then it comes to an end, and then it's okay, like I'll see you next Friday again, like when I come back, or I'll pick you up at 6 on next Thursday to go on our like movie date. Then you can't talk to them, so then it's a temptation, like, oh, I can't wait to see her, I can't wait to see her.
You appreciate the time so much more. Not
but then it's
abundance.
Also so bad that we have so much what we have this day and age, because temptations on when you're dating or you're somewhere and you don't see your girlfriend or boyfriend for a while, then there's temptations because there's
easily accessible
400
anywhere.
bajillion of them right there, and it's like, oh, it's a temptation. But like, that's what I think is so hard and scary this day and age, is how easy you can fall into those temptations.
Yeah, it's hard. It really, really is, just because everything is over accessible and there's an overabundance of it, and you just have to learn the self-control, and you have to learn like your triggers, and it's all about like that relationship you have with yourself and being self-aware of like that. But then it all ties together, like it really does.
100%.
And it's a journey to like become aware of that kind of stuff though. But yeah, okay, we'll kind of wrap up. But
Is there any other?
I like this. How to know if he's the one I've been praying for.
Oh, that's a deep question.
Yeah, I think if you've been praying for him, continue to pray about it, because God will like answer that, and He will make it apparent, and be patient with it. It's not like if He's in your life and you're like, is this something I've been praying for? It's not like you have to make that decision right then and there. But like, give it a chance, feel it out, and like see if it. Keep praying for it while you're in it. You know, like one thing I started doing is like praying for my future husband, and I haven't even like met him yet. You know, but it's like I pray about that person because I know he's out there somewhere. So it's like praying for that is really important. But like, if you've met someone, continue to pray to God and ask Him about it, and like really sit with it. But
I think at the same time, to kind of go into what you're saying too, is don't only pray about it, like pray about it, make that your like primary number one thing, but at the same time ask others too, like
their opinions.
Like yeah, like your opinions,
Kind of
like you're very like right back at like the beginning. What we were saying is ask that one, like the people in your life that you know is going to give you their exact answer, and they're not going to go. They're going to give you the direct answer no matter what, and you have the confidence they will. Ask them about it, like, hey, like, where do you see us? Kind of like, how do you feel about it too? Because
especially if you're praying about it, I feel like you have a pretty strong faith, and I'm assuming that people in your life also do too.
100%.
So they're gonna have a good radar and a good point of view and judgment on that as
pray
well.
Pray about it with them. Have them pray about it and see what they come up with, and just get more than I would say now is just like one inch. Like, definitely make your prayer the number one priority, but maybe pray about it with like that friend, or just ask them to pray about it, or just think about it, and then kind of go from there too.
Yeah, for sure. I think use people in your life.
Use your resources.
Use the power of prayer.
That's what
because you will get your answers.
Resources are everywhere.
Yeah, and just be patient with it, because again, you might not get that answer right away, but I think you'll have a pretty good like feeling about it. You know, if there's some doubt, then listen to that, but like you can still pray through it and see. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there, because all the other questions are pretty similar to the other ones. But anyway, thanks for listening. I love you guys so much. That's our take. That's our hot takes on a lot of hot topics on relationships and dating. But I feel like I'm really excited actually to get this episode out, just because I feel like I've had such a big transformation within my like perspective and view on relationships and stuff. So I feel pretty confident in everything I was saying.
Yeah, I'd say I feel
anyway. Yeah.
Pretty confident.
Thanks for listening. Love you guys so much, and we'll chat in the next episode. Bye.